Sarah, look at him. Is this really the man you wanted to marry? A janitor? You almost threw your whole future away. Honestly, I still can't believe you were ever serious about him.
I know. When I think about it now, it feels ridiculous. I wasted years believing promises that led nowhere. I kept telling myself things would get better, but look at him. What kind of future could he possibly give me?
Exactly. A woman like you deserves better than this. You deserve success, luxury, and a man people can respect. You told me you would stay beside me no matter what happened. You said we would face everything together. Did all those years mean nothing to you?
And that's exactly what I want. I didn't work this hard just to spend the rest of my life struggling. Love is nice, but love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't create security.
Come on, Sarah. Let's go. We've already wasted enough time here.
Months earlier, Michael Harrison was known as one of the youngest billionaires in the country. He owned several successful companies, luxury houses, expensive cars, and investments worth millions of dollars. Business magazines regularly featured his story, and many people admired him for building such an impressive empire at a young age. From the outside, it looked like Michael had everything a person could ever want. He had money, influence, success, and a beautiful fiancée named Sarah. But despite having everything most people dreamed of, there was one problem that constantly bothered him. The more successful he became, the harder it was to know who genuinely cared about him and who only cared about his wealth. As the years passed, Michael noticed that people treated him differently because of his money. Some people wanted favors. Others wanted business opportunities. Many simply wanted to be close to someone powerful and wealthy. The attention never seemed to stop. One evening, after finishing a long day at work, Michael sat alone in his office and began scrolling through old photographs on his phone. As he looked through the pictures, one image immediately caught his attention. It was a photo of him and Sarah smiling together during a vacation they had taken years earlier. Looking at the picture brought back happy memories and made him smile. However, that smile slowly faded as a troubling thought entered his mind. Did Sarah truly love him for who he was, or did she love the lifestyle his money provided? It was a question he had never seriously asked himself before, but once it entered his mind, it refused to leave. Over the next few weeks, Michael started noticing small things that had never bothered him before. Sarah often talked about luxury vacations, expensive homes, and wealthy lifestyles. Whenever successful businessmen attended events with them, she seemed unusually interested in their companies and financial achievements. Michael repeatedly told himself that he was probably overthinking. After all, there was nothing wrong with enjoying nice things. But even as he tried to dismiss his concerns, the feeling inside him continued growing stronger. Then one evening, something happened that made him look at Sarah in a completely different way. The couple attended a large charity dinner filled with important guests and business leaders. During the event, a young waiter accidentally spilled a small amount of juice on Sarah's dress. The waiter immediately apologized and looked genuinely embarrassed by the mistake. Instead of accepting the apology, Sarah became angry and began speaking harshly to the young man. The waiter apologized several more times, but Sarah continued criticizing him in front of everyone. Michael noticed the sadness and humiliation on the young man's face. The entire situation made him uncomfortable. Later that night, after they left the event, Michael gently asked Sarah if she thought she had been a little too hard on the waiter. Sarah simply dismissed the concern and said that people like him needed to learn professionalism. Something about her response stayed with Michael long after the conversation ended. For the first time, he found himself wondering how Sarah treated people when there was nobody important around to impress. That night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling for hours. The more he thought about everything, the more questions appeared in his mind. Eventually, Michael made a decision that shocked even his closest advisor. The next morning, he met with Daniel, the one person he trusted completely. When Michael explained what he planned to do, Daniel could hardly believe what he was hearing. Michael wanted to disappear from public life for a while. He wasn't planning to leave forever, but he wanted enough time to discover who truly cared about him. His plan was simple but risky. Only a few trusted people would know the truth. Meanwhile, rumors would quietly spread that his businesses were facing serious financial problems. People would begin believing that Michael Harrison was losing everything. At the same time, Michael would secretly disguise himself and take a job as a janitor inside one of his own office buildings. Daniel thought the idea was dangerous and unnecessary, but Michael had already made up his mind. He wasn't risking everything for money. He was risking everything to uncover the truth. Within a few weeks, the plan was fully underway. Michael completely changed his appearance. He wore simple clothes, changed his hairstyle, stopped using luxury cars, and even adjusted the way he walked and spoke. The transformation was so convincing that nobody recognized him anymore. The billionaire who once appeared in magazines was now working quietly as a janitor. Every day, he cleaned floors, emptied trash bins, and moved through the building unnoticed. At first, the experience felt strange. But after a while, he began enjoying it. For the first time in years, people spoke around him as if he didn't exist. Because they saw him as unimportant, they revealed their true personalities. Employees who praised their bosses during meetings often mocked them afterward. Managers who appeared kind in public sometimes treated workers poorly behind closed doors. Day by day, Michael learned more about people than he ever had while living as a billionaire. As time passed, he also began paying closer attention to Sarah. At first, everything seemed normal. She still called him regularly, talked about their future together, and discussed plans for their upcoming wedding. For a brief moment, Michael started believing that he had been wrong to doubt her. Maybe Sarah truly loved him. Maybe all his worries had been unnecessary. But then another clue appeared. One afternoon, Sarah called and immediately asked about his financial situation. Michael explained that he was trying to solve the problems.
If you're really enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing to my small channel. My boyfriend promised to take me out if I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that would mean the whole world to me. Thanks for listening this far.
But instead of asking how he was feeling, Sarah seemed more interested in how serious the situation had become. The question itself wasn't strange, but the tone behind it bothered him. It felt less like concern and more like calculation. After the conversation ended, Michael sat quietly for a long time, unable to shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Over the following weeks, Sarah began canceling plans more often. First it was one dinner date. Then another. Then another. Each time she claimed she was busy. Michael wanted to believe her, but his doubts continued growing. Then one evening, while working inside the office building, he saw Sarah entering the lobby. Instinctively, he stepped aside so she wouldn't recognize him. But what truly shocked him wasn't seeing Sarah. It was seeing who she was with. Standing beside her was Victor Reed, a wealthy businessman known for his success, charm, and influence. Michael quietly watched from a distance as Sarah laughed at something Victor said. The two appeared very comfortable around each other. A painful feeling settled deep inside Michael's chest, but he refused to jump to conclusions. Maybe it was business. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe he was allowing his fears to control his thinking. Then Michael saw Victor gently place a hand on Sarah's shoulder. Neither of them moved away. The sight froze him in place. Later that night, Sarah called him and acted as though nothing unusual had happened. She sounded cheerful and relaxed. When she explained how she had spent her evening, she claimed she had been with friends. She never mentioned Victor once. After the call ended, Michael felt something inside him crack. The woman he planned to marry had hidden something from him, and he could no longer ignore the growing feeling that she wasn't telling him the whole truth. The following morning, Daniel arrived with unexpected news. Concerned by everything Michael had shared, Daniel admitted that he had secretly hired a private investigator to look into Victor Reed. Soon, he handed Michael a thick folder filled with photographs, financial records, business reports, and private documents. As Michael carefully examined the contents, his heartbeat began to rise. The evidence suggested that Victor was connected to several suspicious financial activities. But that wasn't what shocked him the most. Hidden throughout the documents was a familiar name. Sarah. His fiancée's name appeared over and over again. There were records of private meetings, money transfers, and agreements Michael had never heard about before. Every page seemed to create more questions instead of answers. Nothing made sense. Why was Sarah connected to Victor's affairs? What exactly was she hiding? And how deep did this situation go? Before Michael could continue reviewing the evidence, Daniel suddenly received a phone call. The moment he answered, the color drained from his face. Michael immediately knew something was wrong. After ending the call, Daniel slowly looked at him and delivered shocking news. The investigator they had hired was missing. The room instantly fell silent. But that wasn't even the worst part. Just 1 hour before disappearing, the investigator had sent a final message. A message containing only 7 chilling words. Sarah knows more than she pretends. The word sent a cold chill through Michael's entire body. The woman he loved. The woman he planned to marry. The woman he believed he knew better than anyone else. Suddenly, Michael wasn't sure who she really was anymore.
If you truly enjoyed this story, don't just watch and go. Subscribe to this channel and be part of this journey. We drop 2-3 African stories every week. Stories that teach, shock, and open your eyes. Help us grow this channel by liking and share it to someone who need to hear this story. Stay connected. More powerful stories are coming every week.